Alrighty, so we're doing another industry influencer series, and I've had an excessive amount of coffee today. So I'm going to talk as slow as the coffee permits because I'm going to talk as little as possible to allow Jig to impart as much knowledge on the YouTube community as possible. So, Jig, I appreciate you doing another video with me. It's been about 6, 7 months since we got a chance to record something together. And
Yeah,
I know that anything I ask you, the information you provide comes from experience, comes from knowledge, isn't just fluff, because so much of what we see online purely isn't real. And that's a tough thing for a lot of agents to filter. Wouldn't you agree?
I do definitely, man. I mean, it's making someone like me not even want to go on these forums because you're getting information passed out from agents that have been in the industry 6 months, 7 months. I mean, I don't want to ever comment on something that I don't know about. So yeah, I mean, there's too much fluff out there. Just gotta be careful who you trust, right?
Yeah. I love to write things sometimes and instantly delete it because I'm like, I'm not sure if that's right. I mean,
Right.
I think this is correct, but there's so many people out there that just say whatever, and if someone's reading it and really doesn't know, it could be easily misled. Like I
Right.
know this much about ACA, but I'm not going to comment anything about it. I know this
Mhm.
much about final expense. I have no problem commenting about it, but I think it's important people really be careful about what they watch, what they read, and who they believe. You've
Oh,
been in the
absolutely.
business quite a long time, so give whoever's watching a little background on yourself if they've never seen you before.
Oh man, so I started in the industry in central Pennsylvania 2014. I got my insurance license in 2014. It wasn't my first choice. Um but I didn't have a driver's license. I had a broken leg, and a friend of mine that worked at Senior Life, um he said that you could do telesales. So I said, "Man, let me give it a shot." I got my insurance license February 2014, and I started doing telesales. And I almost didn't make it this far because um, I used to always look for a shortcut, Chris.
Mhm.
And back then, well, even now they've got something called live transfers. So I was able to turn all these states on, and I didn't know a thing about insurance or selling or anything. And I was getting my computer ringing every few minutes, and I was picking up these calls. People would hang up on me, but that would cost me $36, and I had no idea how it worked. Before I knew it, I was $3,800 in the hole, and Senior Life's cut my leads off. So I had two options: sink or swim. I believed in myself. Again, I didn't have a car or anything, so I believed in myself. So, I felt pretty healed. I cut off my boot, my cast. People told me it was a big mistake. Tied my laces up, put a backpack on and back then it was all paper. A
Mhm.
few applications, a big old thick old paper rate book, and I walked around 3.5 to 4 miles to the poorest part of Altoona. Then I knocked on everybody's door, anyone that was willing to listen. I was the neighborhood enrollment specialist, and I've been sent here to talk to them about final expense.
Mhm.
Man, I'd make a sale a day before you knew it. I had people wanting to work with me. Um, got myself a vehicle within 18 months, had a car, had, multiple agents that were working with me, was now able to buy leads. Spent almost 4 years there. And since April 2017, I've found a home with Innovative Financial Group, IFG.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say, if we want a good bumper sticker phrase for today's video, is there's no shortcuts to success. I think
Mhm.
people are constantly looking for an easier way to make a lot of money. But unfortunately, there's no easy way to make more than most people in America, is there?
No, no. Well, and it was crazy because $3,800 in lead debt, that means every sale that I was making, I was not getting paid. It was chipping away at that thing. So, it was like a month and a half. I was on a 70% contract. It took me some time to pay that off. But again, it was believing in myself. There is no easy way. you know you have to embrace the grind. You have to embrace it. As a new agent, there's no shortcuts. Embrace the grind, and if you do that for 2 to 3 years, you'll get better and better with each presentation. At first you might have to do 10 presentations to get two sales.
Mhm.
Now I'm sure you and we don't do that many presentations to get our goals met. I'm sure of
Mhm.
that,
But we
you
did the
know?
time necessary to develop the skill set, and most people, especially in the beginning or when things get hard for a little while, aren't willing to put in the effort to kind of push past that period of time. My next question was about consistency, but I want to go to leads first. I have this theory that when the moment, and you've probably had many more agents than even me, the moment an agent says to you, I just want to pause my leads just for this week, I don't want to cancel my lead order, but I want to pause my leads, that the moment they stop their lead flow, that within 6 weeks to 6 months, they are dead in the industry. What's your
Mm.
thought about that?
No, I absolutely 1000% agree with you, especially for a new agent. Now, I've got agents that now sometimes pause their lead flow, but not in the first 2 years. In the first 2 years, you pause your leads, you're shooting yourself in the back because there's so many moving parts, especially with final expense. There's moving parts to it. You're gonna have cancellations, you're gonna have chargebacks, you're gonna have to dig out of some holes to get up above it, especially, I mean, first 9 months, you're not getting a pay through to help chip away at it. So you're going to be, nailing on that grindstone early in the morning, late at night. I mean, lead flows is going to be your lifeline. So unless you're a marketing wizard that can market yourself without, the leads, in my opinion, it's a must. It doesn't matter who the agent is.
Do you think that sometimes agents get satisfied with making a little bit more than they made before in life and get complacent thinking, man, I made 10 grand this month, but really forget the fact they could be making so much more money if they really embrace the tenets of this industry?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, for me, it's not just about the upfront money because again, retention is huge, right? So
Mhm.
persistency and retention is huge. So, when we're talking about just sales, there's a lot when I talk about just sales because if you're not placing the person properly, if you're overshooting the mark, you're not asking them how much money that they make, and you're selling someone a $300 policy when they're making 950 bucks a month, it's not going to stay on the book. So there's a lot of training to that also, if that makes sense, Chris.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
sales part, yeah, you can make more money, if they're more diligent and and I do see people getting complacent. I do definitely see people getting complacent. Oh, I made $5,000. I'm used to making $2,000 a month at a telemarketing firm. Oh
Mhm.
man, now I can take my kids to the zoo. I mean, again, in the first 2 years of this industry, whether it be Medicare and final expense only, you know, it's not even a suggestion, but it's a must. You have to keep your nose to the grindstone. Forget about that 2, 3 months off. We've all seen with some of these bigger shops that are doing all this in life insurance premium, that you get an agent that's doing 40 to 50,000 a month for 7 months, is this huge superstar. Then you never hear of him or her again because
Mhm.
they've decided to take 2 or 3 months off.
Yep.
They don't know the reality of coming back to, okay, if I'm writing 50,000 a month and I take 3 months off, I could well come back to a 20 or 30,000 dollar chargeback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's quite possible, especially if you're doing it 7, 8, 9 months in a row.
Mhm.
And I mean, I believe that's what's broken with the industry, the way that some of these shops are marketing and just hammer out, just sell, sell, sell. There has to be sales training,
Yeah. There has to be some
right?
business acumen and some real life understanding and a balance between those two. Would you agree with me that we all face adversity, but in many cases, having the money to address life around you makes that adversity easier to manage?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, shoot, I remember when I first joined the industry and my mindset then, my mentor then, I had a Virgin mobile phone. I remember screen was cracked and everything, but this was my tool for my business that I just entered. I made excuses. Oh, I can't, my mentor said, hey man, why don't you have a newer phone, something that, you can use that's not cracked up? Oh man, I can't afford it. I made the excuses So when I made those excuses in my mind, I was putting that energy out into the world. I was
Mhm.
putting that as an expectation for me. So it wasn't like, okay, let me figure out this is a problem. Let me solve it. I wasn't thinking of these things as a problem solver. I was just thinking of these things as a problem. When you're thinking of things as a problem, you're attracting more issues, in my opinion, more problems. And I mean, we've all heard of the law of attraction and
Yep.
the power of positivity and whatnot. But I mean, prime example, I changed my mindset and life changed almost 10 years ago.
I couldn't agree more. I think people literally attract more problems to themselves by continuing to propagate the problems around them. They like some people looks like they have bad luck in life. No, they just keep bringing more and more of that bad into their life and never
Right.
realizing they're the magnet that's attracting it.
Right.
Before we get too wrapped up in the mindset, I wanted to talk about Medicare because
Hmm.
Medicare is an easy aspect to a final expense agent's business. It's not an entirely different business model. It's not mortgage protection.
No,
It's not ACA. It's not solar. It's not um, perfumes and powders. It's the same freaking client,
it
but
is.
it's not front end money. So balancing paying this month's mortgage and next year's renewals is a real balancing act for a lot of agents. How do you
It
explain to
is.
an agent how to blend those two together without failing in the process?
So, how to blend those two together? Number one, I'm going to tell you if you get with the right upline for Medicare, they're going to give you assistance with leads. So, the biggest thing with final expenses, there's no help when it comes to leads. So, I mean, our biggest cost is marketing. Doesn't matter what sales we work in, our biggest expense is going to be marketing. So if I'm a final expense agent and I'm spending, let's say, 30,000 a year just to make 100,000, I'm making $70,000 a year. But now if I'm spending 30,000 a year, again, like you just said, I'm going to see the same exact clients. I'm not going to see a different client that's filling out a final expense lead than a client that's filling out a Medicare lead.
Same
Nine
person.
times out of 10, they've got a Lincoln Heritage policy, they've got a senior life policy, they're on a heart med where they're on a modified rate and they can get a way better product now because they haven't had any change in health in the last few years. So it opens up a lot of opportunities to just fall into final expense money. Now, of course,
Mhm.
there's compliance involved. That's for another call. You can do a call about that some other day. So the compliance, you can't just say, all right, well, I'm going to sell you Medicare and final expense in one day. But the Medicare, it's something that brings trust in the client because you're truly helping them. Most of the plans that we serve clients with are $0 plans. And in some cases and some occasions, you're actually putting pretty much money into their hands, money to help them pay for their groceries, money to help them pay for their utilities, and in some occasions, even gasoline in their car.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you're truly helping people lower the cost of their medications. It's truly a different feeling than selling them a final expense policy.
Mhm.
Now, again, when you gain their trust here, you can always call them, hey, I'd like to do a quick review with you. I'm in your neighborhood. Let's sit down. And then you can have that final expense discussion, that final expense presentation. They might tell you, hey, Sonny, I've got this. I did this a year and a half ago. Let that folder say that green Lincoln Heritage thing on there. I'm licking my lips like this. Like, come on. It's perfect because, I'll whip out my insurance toolkit. Okay, well, I'm your case manager now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that, that's an actual good policy. I already know your medications, but go grab your list of medications. I'll plop it in the toolkit. And 7 to 8 times out of 10, as long as they haven't bought it years and years ago, I'm smashing their rates. I'm smashing their rates. There's so many different things you could do. I'm finding collapsing IULs.
Mhm.
I'm finding all different kind of products where, I'm just moving this here. Now, the other thing is final expense agents don't really know about the advanced markets. With the way that the economy is now, and I'm not going to say D-SNP clients, and most people listening don't know what a D-SNP client is, but the Medicaid clients. So not the Medicaid clients that are super broke, but you're going to fall into clients that have these 401ks, clients
Mhm.
that don't know what to do with them. Now if you've helped them with their Medicare and helped them actually save money, keep money in their hands, they're actually going to trust you when you have conversations with them about their money. So it opens so many different doors. The Medicare things open so many different doors for agents.
What would you say to somebody about the importance of debt management, money management, not overspending, like just basic business sense with your money?
All right. So the easiest way to dumb it down for agents is this isn't your money. When you get paid, this is not your money. This is a 0% loan based on that client paying that policy over the next 9 months. If it's final expense we're speaking of, if it's Medicare for the remainder of the year, if they keep the policy for the remainder of the year. So again, it's a 0% interest-free loan. So it's your job as an insurance agent. Again, remember, this isn't easy money. This is your job as an insurance agent to service your client, take care of them when they have a call, if they have any questions. Now, I like to say, especially with Medicare, once you've signed them up, call them or touch base with them 3 days after you've signed them up. I'm lucky my wife works with me now. She's responsible for some of that back office stuff. 30 days after that policy's gone into effect, because if there's any problems, it's going to be a transitional problem, changing from this one to that one, not getting the exact same benefits. You might just have to make a call to get them something covered, so that transitional issue. And then 6 months in, again, after that, it's going to be set it and forget it, so 0% interest-free loan, best way that I can put it. Keep your business on the books, because again, this is your business. If you just think this is a job, this isn't for you. You may as well just go somewhere else, work somewhere else. But if you're going to take this as a business, you're going to understand that this is a 0% loan. That means, number one, the first thing you do is open a separate bank account, put some money away just for your taxes and stuff. You know what I mean? And again, I don't operate with one bank account. I split it into different parts.
Mhm.
5% of my income is going to go into an account, a savings account, just for things like, continuing education, CEs, things like that. 10% just for marketing, leads, if I want to buy shirts, business cards, things like that. 20% goes into taxes. I'm not going to say that the whole 20% gets spent on taxes. If there's anything left in that pot, I call it the spoil us fund. Don't keep that money, because you got to feel good about what we're doing, right?
Mhm.
We're flicking roaches off our iPads, working with the nasty of the places. So again, you have to treat yourself. I do it on a monthly basis, but I also do it on an annual with that tax money. Whatever's left in that pot that I haven't spent with Uncle Sam goes
Mhm.
on us.
Fair
Goes
enough.
on us. The feel good money.
Fair
But
enough.
yes, split it up. Best way.
Talk to me as an agency owner and a builder, or whatever verb we want to use or pronoun these days for that term, about the 80-20 philosophy, that focusing on the 20% of agents that are actually going to do a damn thing and do what you teach them and continue to do it, versus the 80% that won't ever do what they really have the potential to do.
See, you call it the 80-20. Now, I have a 10-80-10 rule. It's a little bit different. So there's the 10 percenters. There's the Chris Smiths, the Waylon Trips, the Jigs, the people that you don't have to wake us up in the morning. I'm up early. Dina knows that she might get a text at 5 o'clock in the morning from me. I'm working, I'm up. You know what I mean? So that's the 10% of us. We don't
Mhm.
need to spend time on the us's, right? Then
Mhm.
there's the 10% at the bottom. Now, I'm going to go into the 10% before I talk about the 80% in the middle. There's the 10% at the bottom that we spend most of our energy and our time on, and those agents, they drain us. We try to pull them out of bed. We try to get them motivated. We try to do all that. But those are the 80 that you speak of, Chris. Those are the 10% that I've decided over the last 2 to 3 years that, if I don't see any potential, I'm gonna, let them be on the island pretty much by themselves. If they come to me, they can ask and I'll help them. But I'm not gonna waste my time because it drains my energy.
Mhm.
And that energy, it's neglected on the folks that need my energy and my time and the experience and expertise that I have. So then I have the 80%. Those are the folks that I feel they can be like us. They could be the 10 percenters. But the 10% at the bottom, they're draining so much of our energy. I'm not able to spend enough of my time pulling some of those 80 percenters up to our level. Now,
Mm.
those 80 percenters, they still might, they might not need us as much and they might still be good agents. But some of them guys that we don't spend our time on, if we pull them up, they'll get to our level. They will get to our level. And that has helped me over the last 2 years more than the first 8 years of my career. Because in the first 8 years, man, I wasted my time, my energy, bro. When I look at the agency that I had built, I wasted my time on a lot of people that aren't even in the industry anymore.
Yeah, it's challenging because there's compared to when we started in the business, and you've got a few years on me. There's so many more tools and resources and stuff to answer the most basic freaking questions. And maybe that's a 10 percenter versus an 80 percenter problem. I always believe that if I'm going to try to figure this problem out first, then if I really don't know, I'm going to ask. Like if I need to figure out who takes COPD in 2016, I'm gonna look at the agent guide. I'm look at the application. I'm gonna ask the underwriter. I'm gonna use my upline and my mentor, but I'm gonna really put a little personal responsibility on myself. If a new product comes to market, and there's new products every week nowadays, I'm going to read the agent guide. I'm going to read the application. I'm going to conceptualize how this fits into my practice. I'm going to go out with an existing client and practice the product. And then I'm going to teach others how to do it. I'm not expecting people to spoon feed me the most basic information in the industry. But John Kite described it once when I did an interview with him. Your 10 percenters, not having to make them do stuff. Like, don't push on doers. Doers will do it themselves.
Right.
And I think maybe sometimes we get the 10 percenters confused with people that need our actual attention. But at some point, where do you say to yourself, this person is who they are? I'm not going to be able to get them past this point.
Right. Right. I mean, what do you say to yourself? I mean, you have to, if it's bad for you, it's bad for what you're building, and it's taking away from other other people that are actually there and they need you. Then you have to separate. If they're handing you the scissors, bro, that's a sign. You got to cut that cord, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's the easiest way to put it. They're handing you the scissors by not putting an effort into their own career.
Mm-hmm.
If someone gives me 100%, man, I'll give you 199%.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're giving me 60, I can't give you 100. If you're just, I can't give you 100% of me, bro.
Yeah.
You
The
know,
people that I've been able to replicate into the most successful have done exactly what they were taught. They implemented it. They took constructive criticism. They ran with tools when they were given them, and they were going forward, not pulling backward in the process. So
right.
you kind of see it more and more the more you replicate success and cut off failures and accept average. Because some people really and truly just don't want it as much as we do. And I've
Hmm.
heard it plenty of times. You can't make somebody want it more than they want it for themselves.
Right. And then another thing that I will tell you is the leadership, my man. So, if your leader isn't doing anything or doesn't have a past, or pretty much is just there for the override, you
Mhm.
know, it's difficult for the rest of the team to say, all right, here's my standpoint. This is who I'm, going after. It's like a race car driver, Mercedes Benz or McLaren, whoever you race for, you're going to get the lead car driver. That one's going to shoot past everyone, going to be at the front of the race. All the other members of that team, they're going to try to get past him, but very rarely. So as a leader, you have to lead by example.
Mhm.
As a leader, if you're not doing 200 apps a year, how can you expect anyone else to? From
Yeah.
time to time, you might get a race car driver that will zoom past the leader, And that's always nice. That's always nice, right? When you get someone that's got,
Mhm.
that zooms right past you and, crushes your goals. But, I mean, someone, if you're a level 8 or a 9, they're only going to be a level 6 or a 7. They're not going to just go to a level 11. Leadership is big. So if you got a level 3 leader, and you're a level 5 person, John Maxwell said it best, there's a law of the lid. You're
Mhm.
going to stop there, right? And you can only go so far. So you're either going to pop that lid off and outgrow the leader, or you're going to be stuck under someone. And so in this industry, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
So the leadership is huge on where others go. But again, I mean, that 10%, it's like slicing the fat off the steak.
Yeah. I
Throw it to
think
the dogs.
Yeah, I think a lot of times that people are just need to be more honest with themselves as well. Like, are you really getting what you want out of this? Is this really working the way you want it to? Like, honest self-assessment goes a long way. With our final few minutes that we have at an agent level in the sales perspective, give us a solid final expense and a solid Medicare tip for someone that's watched the whole video and can take that tip into the field next week and make more money.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. Now, goals are big. Write them down. Write down your goals. Now, on a week-to-week basis, I'm going to tell you, do it bigger. Do an annual goal. Say you want to do 200 apps. Then break it down by the months. Then break it down by the weeks. And that's easy. It's 5 apps a week. It's really easy. Do 4.6 apps, just round it up, 5 apps a week. If you break down the goal of $200,000 a year, that's $4,200 a month. Sorry, per week.
Mhm.
It's an easy goal to do, but have a
Yeah.
big goal and then chip away at it. I have a saying within my group: minimum that you should be doing is presenting to 15 people per week. If you do
Mhm.
15 people per week, don't even look at the numbers. The numbers will pan out. I personally
Yep.
promise you. But you got to be honest with yourself. If you're telling me that you sat down with 15 people this week and you're doing $1,200, there's something wrong. Either something with your presentation, and then we can diagnose that as leaders. So then reach up if you're not hitting your goals and still hitting the 15 a week. We can diagnose that. We can help you.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
that. That's the best advice that I could give. Goals, keep them.
Yeah, I'll say this. My goal when I'm in the field is always right in front of me on a legal pad on my front passenger seat. It's always right there. Like, if I look
Right.
off the road or off of my phone, it's right there at all times. And until that goal is met, you don't want to be around me. Like, nothing else is getting done. Nothing else is being taken care of. Nothing else is important, because once this is handled, everything else in life can be taken care of far easier than if you're
Right.
not prioritizing and putting first things first. So, Jig, I
Right.
appreciate you giving us 30 minutes this morning. Those of you that are watching, like the video, comment below on something that you heard him say that made you better, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue to grow and put out actual quality content from actual quality leaders in the industry. Thanks for watching.